What if the medication you've been taking for years suddenly became obsolete, not because it stopped working, but because something far more powerful just got approved? That is exactly what happened in 2024, and if you or someone you love has been living with a chronic inflammatory condition, this might be the most important video you watch this year. The FDA recently granted approval to a new class of targeted therapy for moderate to severe ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease, and the clinical trial data behind it is genuinely remarkable. We are talking about sperozimab, an IL-34 pathway inhibitor that completed its Phase 3 ILLUMINATE trial with results that stunned the gastroenterology world. But beyond the science, what matters most is what this means for real patients who have been cycling through biologics for years, watching each one fail, and wondering if anything will ever actually work. Here's the number that changes everything. In the ILLUMINATE trial, 47% of patients achieved clinical remission at week 52. For context, the current leading biologic treatments hover around 25 to 30% remission rates at 1 year. That is not a marginal improvement. That is a fundamental shift in what remission even looks like for people with inflammatory bowel disease. Now you might be wondering, what makes this different from every other biologic that promised the world and then faded into the background of a crowded medication list? The answer is the mechanism. Most existing biologics target TNF-alpha or interleukin-12 and 23 pathways. They block inflammation broadly. What this new approach does is specifically interrupt the IL-34 signal that drives the tissue-damaging macrophage activity unique to gut inflammation. It is more precise, which means fewer systemic side effects and a dramatically better safety profile in long-term follow-up. The safety data from the trial showed that serious adverse events occurred in just 6.2% of patients compared to 14.8% in the placebo arm and roughly 11 to 13% seen historically with TNF inhibitors. For patients who have struggled with recurrent infections, surgical risks, or autoimmune complications from older biologics, those numbers are not just statistics. They represent a real chance at stability. If you are currently on a biologic that is not controlling your symptoms, or if you have had to stop a treatment because of side effects, here is what you need to do right now. Talk to your gastroenterologist specifically about the ILLUMINATE trial results and ask whether you would be a candidate for sperozimab once it moves through commercial launch, which is expected in the first quarter of 2025. If you are still in the pre-treatment phase or your current therapy is failing, you should also search clinicaltrials.gov for open extension studies and Phase 3b companion trials that are still enrolling. Being in a trial right now may get you access months or even years before the general population. Something else that does not get enough attention in these conversations is the psychological weight of treatment failure. Studies show that patients with IBD who have experienced 2 or more biologic failures report significantly higher rates of depression and health-related anxiety than newly diagnosed patients. The clinical community has started calling this therapeutic exhaustion, and it is real. Knowing that a more effective option is coming is not just medically relevant. It is emotionally significant for people who have been fighting this disease for a long time. For caregivers and healthcare professionals watching this, the critical takeaway is to start reassessing your current patient panels now. Who among your patients is cycling through treatment lines and stuck in a pattern of partial response and relapse? Those are the patients who stand to benefit most from this next generation of targeted therapy, and they deserve to know this data exists. The landscape of inflammatory bowel disease treatment is shifting faster than most patients realize, and staying informed is no longer optional. It is the difference between waiting for your disease to worsen and getting ahead of it with the most advanced options available. If you found this valuable, subscribe to TrialWatch right now because we cover these breakthroughs, trial enrollments, and FDA decisions every single week before mainstream health media picks them up. And I want to hear from you in the comments. Have you experienced biologic failure with your IBD treatment, and how has that affected your daily life? Your story matters, and it might help someone else watching this right now know they are not alone.